Hi and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave and this is episode 1391A and today's date is October 2nd, 2017 and the title of the episode is The IMF Says the Blockchain Could Displace the Fractional Banking Model. Let's get into the economic collapse financial news. Now, today we see the corporate media, they're out there, and of course the government is out there telling us how great manufacturing is. And what we're looking at right now, and we've seen this before, every time there's some type of major disaster like a hurricane like Katrina, the 2010 superstorms, Harvey, all of a sudden we see an uptick in manufacturing where they're producing a lot of wood, they're producing a lot of goods, and they're bringing it into the areas. But what happens right after these major storms, the entire manufacturing world completely collapses. And we've seen this before. This is nothing new, but the corporate media is out there playing it up that everything is great, manufacturing is growing, and this is just a one-off thing like we've seen before, nothing new. They're also really making a big deal about construction. They're out there telling us that U.S. construction spending is much higher right now, but they forgot to tell you about the huge revision of the July construction spending, and it was revised down by 1.2%. Now, even though we had this modest uptick, 2017 remains the worst year for construction spending growth since 2010. So this fits into what is happening in housing right now, and it looks like this is really not a recovery. This is just a way to manipulate and spin the numbers to make it look a lot better than it really is. And here we are in the month of October, and we understand and we realize that things seem to happen in October, and what I'm talking about is the stock market. Now, October 19th will mark the 30th anniversary of Wall Street's crash of 1987, where the Dow Industrials fell around 22% in a single day, which would be a 4,900 point drop if it happened today. In fact, stocks crashed in October in 1907, 1929, 2008. Now the question is, will the market come down this October? Well, right now we know that the entire stock market's been manipulated. We know the central banks around the world have been buying stocks. We know that U.S. stock valuations are currently at very high standards compared to what they were like in the past. Bonds are also very expensive. The bond markets are also trading at lofty levels right now. And we know that many countries right now, their benchmark interest rates are close to zero or even in the negative area. And we understand the Federal Reserve is keeping the interest rates very, very low. Now, what's very interesting is that we haven't seen the federal funds rate above 6% since 2008. And it hasn't been at 10% since 1989. And there are many people out there that are calling for a correction in the market. And I believe this will come when the real economy detaches itself from the manipulated numbers. We are seeing this happen right now, right in front of our faces, where we're looking at the manipulated numbers. We're looking at manipulated unemployment, manipulated stock market, manipulated corporate earnings. We're looking at the manipulated data that the U.S. government, the Fed, puts out there. And when we take a look at what's really happening in the economy, like retail, consumer spending, the actual tax receipts that are coming into the U.S. federal government, these are all declining. Revenues of corporations are declining. And this is what we mean by the real economy, the real information, not the manipulated numbers where they can continually go back in time and say, hey, you know what? We're just going to change our methodology and make this completely different. Now, we understand why all this is happening. The entire economy is deteriorating very, very quickly. They realize to keep the illusion alive, they have to continually manipulate the numbers. They need to pump up the stock market. They need to make this seem like it's the best it's ever been, because if they don't, everything will be blamed on them. Now, we understand that the central banks, they are positioning themselves to make some type of transition. And what do I mean by this? Well, they realize, and they've known this for a very long time, the dollar is dying. They know there's just too much debt out there. The global debt level is unsustainable right now. We have something called the blockchain technology. We know that there are certain banking systems that are working on this. The central banks are included in this, and we know that they want to take control of it. Now, we understand that a lot of the cryptocurrencies right now are very volatile. They move up and down. And I believe what the central banks are getting prepared to do is they are getting prepared to say, listen, we can stop this volatility. We can keep everything at a level playing field, so you can feel rest assured that cryptocurrency, the blockchain technology, will work for you. Now, we understand that they are trying to do away with cash. Now, either they use their electronic banking system, the fractional banking system, or they move the entire world into the blockchain technology. Now, it's not going to be this free, open cryptocurrency where nobody has control over it. They still want control. Now, the managing director of the International Monetary Fund has speculated that Bitcoin or some other cryptocurrency, well, there might be a future within the central banking system. Now, Christine Lagarde is saying it could displace central banks' conventional banking and challenge the monopoly of national monies. In the long run, the technology itself can replace national monies and the fractional banking system. Now, what she is saying is that the central banks, they want to control the blockchain technology. They want full control of it, and at this point, they will not need the banking system. They can actually do away with it because everyone will be online. It will be completely virtual. And as just like Bitcoin right today, there is a cap of how much can be created. Their digital currency will have no cap. And this will be done on purpose because they will want to create as much as they possibly can. Now, in the beginning, they're going to come out and say, yes, there is a cap. There, you can only create this much, but there will be a function to remove this cap and allow them to create as much as they want. Because remember, the central banking system, their main objective is to put all countries into debt so they can control these countries. And she was out there saying that citizens may one day prefer virtual currency since they potentially offer the same cost and convenience as cash. No settlement risks, no clearing delays, no central registration, no intermediary to check accounts and identities. If privately issued, virtual currencies remain risky and unstable. Citizens may even call on central banks to provide digital forms of legal tender. That's it right there. Now, right now, as we can see, there's a lot of cryptocurrencies out there. And Bitcoin it seems to be the leader right now. And it's very volatile. It goes up and down. And it looks like the central banks might move into this area, and it looks like they've been planning on this for quite a while, where they might say, we can help. This is how the central bankers work. They always come out and tell you how they're going to make it better for you, even though they're going to make it better for them. And what they're going to try to do is they're going to try to introduce a cryptocurrency that will not be volatile, that they will control. And it looks like this is where we are moving right now. It looks like this is what their plan is all along. So at this point, they understand that the old method of these currencies, these paper dollars, the fractional reserve banking, well, it can be easily done by just controlling the computer systems. You don't need all these banking systems. You don't need all of this. They'll just control all the different systems around the world. And it looks like this is exactly where they're trying to move the people into. And they're going to make it look like it's really, really great for the people. Now, to get there, first they're going to have to explain why the old system is no good. Now, they're not just going to say, hey, by the way, you know, the system we're using right now, the dollar, all these banking system, all the branches and everything like that, well, they're just no good, and they're just no good. We don't need them anymore. No, they're going to make it look like they are susceptible to cyber attacks because it's centralized. They're going to make it look like that the system was destroyed by maybe some type of event by another country or group, and they are pushing this agenda very, very hard. And this is why everyone needs to be prepared. Now, gold and silver will still play a role in this. Remember, this is a store of wealth. You'll be able to transfer anything into digital currency. Now, hopefully, the people rise up and tell the central bankers, no, we are not headed in this direction when the time comes. But at this point, we're at a crossroads right now. The old system is dying, and the new system is being born. Now, right now, China and Russia, they have been setting everything up to handle the new system. And I think eventually what's going to happen is everything will move from the west to the east, but eventually it will then be turned into cryptocurrency where China has hands off and everything goes to the central banking system. Now, China will handle the manufacturing. China will handle the exchanges. They will handle all of this. The United States will be left out of this. They'll be handling trade. They'll be handling the Belt and Road. They'll be handling this whole entire system. And this is what they've been building on for a very long time. In the meantime, the central banks in the background will be handling the currency. They will be handling the intermediate currency, maybe the SDRs, and then moving everyone into the crypto market. Remember, the crypto market is very, very small right now. As it grows and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, just like the internet, we're going to see many different things change. And we can see that they're getting prepared and ready for this, but they're going to have to do this in stages. This is not going to happen at once. This is their plan. I'm not saying it's going to happen this way. They would like it to happen this way, unless the people get involved, but everyone needs to be prepared and ready. Remember, asset is still an asset. It's still going to be worth something. Gold, silver, land, things like that. That's still going to be worth something in the end. All we're talking about is a way to trade using a digital currency and actually not using the dollar anymore, using something completely different, which means whatever we're using is going to be devalued because we'll no longer be the reserve currency. And this is why you need to maintain your wealth. And this is why you need gold, silver, land, maybe even stocks with dividends and things like that. Now, stocks might go down in value when the market goes down, but you still have something. I wouldn't put everything in that basket, but you can see that we are definitely going to be in this transition period where everyone needs to be ready and prepared for what is coming. And we can see the central bankers are getting ready. China and Russia are getting ready. Well, most of the people here in the United States, they are not getting ready. They're kept in the dark. Actually, people around the world are kept in the dark. There are a few out there that are listening and paying attention and seeing what's going on, just like there were many people didn't realize the internet was being born. They didn't know what it was. They didn't know how it worked. They knew nothing about it until AOL came along, and they still didn't know much about it. They didn't know about, everything was going to be going online. And all of a sudden, we got off of AOL, everyone had direct connection, and everyone uses it today on a little device called your smartphone. Well, the same thing's going to be happening with cryptocurrency. No one understands it right now. Everyone hears about it, but doesn't really paying attention to it. And eventually what happens is time goes on and the technology gets more robust. People start to use it. People tell you that this is what we're switching to. And before you know it, everyone is using it. This is what the central bankers are planning on. Now, cryptocurrency is not a bad thing as long as the people control it. And that's what we need to make sure of, is that the people around the world are in control of creating their own currency, not an organization where they can control what is going on. And this is why you need to be ready and prepared, because we're going to be going through this transition, and it's going to be a very rough transition as we move forward. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.